So my name is Kathleen Bresnan, Director of Voter Service of the League of Women Voters of the Malbaldi area, which serves San Dimas. I will be your moderator for the San Dimas City Council Forum. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that encourages informed and active participation of citizens in government. We neither support nor oppose candidates or political parties at any level of government. So we will start our forum by pledging allegiance to our flag. Please stand and address the flag. Ready, begin. So let's get started. If you haven't done so already, please silence your cell phones. You can survive without them for 2 hours. Okay, do not display any campaign buttons, signs, banners, hats, or t-shirts. Please notice where the exits are in case of an emergency. Got a lot of exits here. The bathrooms are in the hallway outside the doors to your left. Tonight's forum will be recorded by Ken Pucci from K-West. I ask that it be recorded and broadcast without editing. The League of Women Voters is not responsible for the content of any recording or video. Before I explain tonight's format, I will explain my goals for the forum. I want this to be a discussion of issues facing San Dimas, not the personalities. This requires the cooperation of everyone here tonight, candidates and the audience. Candidates, this is what I am looking for from you. I want you to discuss what you would do in relationship to the questions, not about other candidates. Other candidates will answer for themselves. We want to hear how you respond. Audience, these candidates have decided to run for office to represent you. That takes courage, hard work, and dedication. It means that all of us will be respectful of every candidate on this stage. I expect you to act with grace and decorum. There are no political agendas from the audience. I want to listen to what every candidate has to say about the issues that are raised. Now I know it's really easy to be excited about your candidate and you want to show your support with yelling or cheering. But with our limited time frame, we must try very hard to be quiet as possible. With your help and cooperation, we will learn the candidates' positions on the issues that you care about. So please listen and give them your attention. Now the ushers have been passing index cards and pins. These are for you to write questions you would like the candidates to answer. So I want to thank you for all the questions that you're going to write and share with us. I will try to get to as many of them as possible. Now, let me explain the forum's rules. Each candidate will be given an opening statement of 2 minutes. The seating order is the order of the names on your ballot. All candidates were invited. Gil Gonzalez withdrew from the election. Candidates, please keep your eyes on Ann Belleman and Judith Tannenbaum. They are your timers. When you see the stop sign, stop. After opening statements, we will begin our question and answer period. The questions will be sorted to eliminate duplicates and to make sure that they are addressed to the entire panel and not individual candidates. Be sure to ask questions that affect the city and can be solved at the city level. We cannot solve the world's problems tonight. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to the same question. At the closing, about 8:20 or so, the candidates will have 1 minute for a closing statement. That concludes the forum. That's it. Now, I'm proud to introduce your candidates for mayor and city council. Candidates, when I call your name, please stand and continue standing. Audience, please hold your applause until all the candidates have been introduced. For the election of mayor, Bobby Mathias. Emmett Badar. For city council, Emma Maria Ramirez. David V. Estrada. John Ebner. Eric D. Weber. Nicole M. Gonzalez. Now you can applaud. Thank you. Let's begin with opening statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes. So when you see the stop sign, stop. We shall begin. Bobby Mathias.
Okay, it's my first time around as trying to be the mayor, so thank you. Keep laughing like that, the jokes will be for free. Okay, so my name is Bobby Mathis, and I have lived in the city of San Dimas for approximately 47 years, and born in Los Angeles, LA, and I come from a family of 6 sisters, and 4 generations have lived in the city of San Dimas. My father, an architect, a contractor, developer of properties, and so basically I have been in the city of San Dimas, going to the city hall as a little kid, you know, 4 and 5 and 6 years old with my dad, and through those years I've really seen a lot of things that I would like to improve on. You know, being 52 years old and have built my own house from the city of San Dimas in the city and remodeling different types of properties and driving around the city of San Dimas for many years. Looking at the properties my dad had built, I'm very proud to say that we live in a fantastic city. And we are all in a work in progress here in the city, and just I feel my calling in life would be to give to the city of San Dimas my time and experience, and to bring a bridge between city government and the people, coming together and working together, and let there be transparency, honesty, and integrity with each other. And I just, through all my experiences, my desire is to be utilized. And I also too, I believe in the Lord, and each and every day I ask God to give me wisdom and help me and to forgive me and help me to forgive others as well. And I just want that mindset of, you know, eternity, and what we're doing here in this life is very meaningful, and putting each other, you know, first, and looking at what we can do for each other. And as mayor, what I would do is I would ask each and every one of you for insight, you know, and I believe I teach. Oh, thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Emmett Badar.
Good evening. My name is Emmett Badar, and my family and I have lived in San Dimas for 37 years. I'm proud to have served both as a commissioner and a member of the city council over the last 30 years. I'm proud to call San Dimas my town. Ladies and gentlemen, my work here is not done, which is why I've made the commitment to run for mayor. When I'm elected, I will implement a three-point plan. Point 1, refresh our core commitment to the community with our new generation of city government. Focus on the infrastructure, our roads, our tree stock, recreation facilities, and parks. Develop a new master plan. Create a mayor's blue ribbon task force made up of council, staff, and community stakeholders. And refresh the city's general plan 2020-2022. Point 2, build a 5-year plan of responsible spending and growth. Normalize multi-year budget planning with priorities for spending spread out. Work to proactively stay ahead of the new state requirement for increased housing growth. Work with multiple stakeholders, including professional land use consultants, to fully develop the anticipated growth of Cataract Bonita region, both north and south. Point 3, partner with the council, staff, and community stakeholders to develop the City Hall culture that is focused on how to get to yes. Focus on community service, develop performance outcomes, post on the city's website. Thank you for attending this forum tonight and the opportunity to talk to you.
No, please, no applause. Thank you. Emma Maria Ramirez.
My name is Emma Ramirez. I'm a candidate for the city of San Dimas for city council because I'm a strong leader, longtime resident, activist in the community, and I'm committed to serving you and not any special interest group. I will accomplish this task by holding town hall meetings in different parts of the city, like the north, the south, the east, and the west parts of the city. I will identify your concerns and bring them to city council and work on your individual problems on your part of the city. I mean, the problems of Villa Verde are not the same as downtown LA. So I want to make sure, or downtown San Dimas, I want to make sure that we cover everybody. As a longtime resident of San Dimas, I've raised my family here. I was a single mom, raised 2 boys, now men. My son Roger graduated from Damien High School and served as an Army Ranger in the 2nd Battalion, and is currently working for the government. My son Joseph, a San Dimas High School graduate and currently processing for the Sheriff's Department. I'm retired law enforcement. I worked LAPD. I was a sergeant, detective, and supervisor. I continue to serve my community as Commissioner of Public Safety Committee, appointed in 2017, member of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm a co-founder of CERT, a Community Emergency Response Team, and the most important thing that I'm proud of is the Wilderness Creek Project, which brought passion to me, to the city. I plan to use my experience to address the downtown redevelopment, taxes that impact our city, light rail issues, and community and city preparedness for disaster. And I want to thank the ladies from the League of Women Voters for this opportunity.
Okay. David V. Estrada.
Hello, my name is David Estrada. I've been a proud resident of San Dimas for the past 40 years. My professional career was in organized labor, and one of my specialties was negotiating labor agreements to successful conclusions. I was also adept at involving the community in issues of economic interests and improving the delivery of basic health care. I served as a director of a division which oversaw contract administration for over 30 hospitals and healthcare institutions. I finally accepted a position in Washington, D.C. as a national coordinator for the Kaiser Permanente Labor Management Partnership, where I work closely with Kaiser and 11 international unions to help grow the company and administer those contract agreements. When my wife and I moved here in 1979, we found a quiet bedroom community where the 210 freeway ended at that time. In the past 40 years, I've seen it grow and prosper. I love this town because it gave us a safe and secure environment to raise our children. I'm concerned about how we will now respond as a community to the changes that are being imposed upon us by Sacramento. And what I mean by that is that on January 1st, we were hit by zoning requirements that basically took away our rights as a city to control our housing and virtually made zoning for single-family housing units a thing of the past. I want to do something about that. Thank you.
Okay, John Ebner.
Hello, I'm John Ebner, and I'm running for re-election to the City Council. Before I talk about campaign issues, I'd like to just thank my family. Got a wife and 4 great kids. Got a great daughter-in-law, a future son-in-law that's going to be great, a couple twin grandkids, and one more on the way. So it's the growing Ebner family. Especially want to thank my wife Lori and the whole family for all the support and love they've given me over the years. And I couldn't do it without them. I appreciate all that they have done for me all this time. Now, the reason I'm running for re-election, I've been on the council a long time, as you know. But I think I offer a certain perspective and balance on the city council. I talk about things that are passionate to me and may not be as important to some of the other members. You'll hear about some of that tonight. Also, with the turnover in management at City Hall, a mayor retiring and an opening on the city council, I think I bring a little bit of steadiness and stability to the council. I'll talk briefly about some priorities. First of all, the bedrock and foundational priority has to be public safety, stable finances, and good infrastructure. Without that, you can't do anything else. I think we're doing a pretty good job on that. Beyond that, then you can turn to more quality of life issues, which is really what I like to try to propose. So a couple of those: downtown revitalization. That's one of the biggies. And with more shops, restaurants, things to do, make it a nice small town feel. Also high on my list are protecting neighborhoods from overdevelopment, making sure development fits neighborhoods and the surroundings. And then the San Dimas environment, which is a bunch of things like parks, trails, trees, safe streets, and we'll talk more later.
Okay, Eric D. Weber.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for being here tonight. Also, thank you to the city and the League of Women Voters. Is that better? And the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this forum. My name is Eric Weber, and I am a candidate for City Council. For the past 17 years, can everybody hear me?
Can you hear?
All right, so for the past 17 years, I've had the honor of serving my country and my community in the U.S. Navy as a police officer and detective, and as a City of San Dimas Public Safety Commissioner. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and a master's in organizational leadership. My family's lived in San Dimas for going on the past 12 years now, and there's no doubt that San Dimas is in a transition phase right now. The Mayor Morris is retiring after serving on the council since 1980. The Gold Line is making its way through the heart of the city, and the state says we need to find room for 1,000 new homes. We face a $5 million structural budget deficit over the next 4 years. Failed legislation and court rulings have caused a surge in property crimes and homelessness, and there are no easy fixes for these issues, which require strong leadership to mitigate the impact on the city. I don't like to paint a doom and gloom picture for the city because these issues are what we make of them. The Gold Line is going to be a massive relief to San Dimas commuters. Responsible development in our downtown corridor can revitalize the area and make San Dimas a destination. I will strive to implement technology to streamline processes, increase transparency, and address emerging crime trends. Most importantly, I will solicit feedback from the citizens to identify where the city can do better. To accomplish this, we need a knowledgeable candidate that will prioritize public safety, quality of life, accountability, transparency, and fiscal responsibility. I am that candidate, and I hope I can count on your vote so that I can continue to serve you on the City Council. Thank you.
Nicole M. Gonzalez.
First, I'd like to thank you all for taking away time from your families this evening to get to know myself and my fellow candidates. A big thank you to my family and friends for all of your love and support over the last handful of weeks. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Nicole Gonzalez and I'm running for City Council. My husband Mark and I have been married for 17 years and have 2 children who are both currently attending San Dimas schools. Growing up, I spent lots of quality time with my grandparents who live here in town, so 12 years ago when it came time for my husband and I to purchase a home, San Dimas was the natural choice for us. I've been active in advocating for the downtown community for several years, most recently as part of the No Big Hotel campaign. Through the years of discussing and advocating for the neighborhood, people in the community have often told me I should run for city council to be their voice. I hold a senior role at a global nonprofit humanitarian organization. Over the course of the past 12 years, I've climbed my way up the ladder, proving my commitment, dedication, and service to others. I am an excellent listener and enjoy working in team environments to solve whatever issues may be at hand. It was during my last business trip to Kenya that I was inspired to take my commitment to the community to the next level. I believe San Dimas is at a crossroads. Will we remain on our current path, or are we ready to move forward and acknowledge changing times and trends? I envision a more community-oriented San Dimas with more restaurants and gathering spaces. If elected, I will promote independently owned shops and will draw attention to areas of town that have been left behind. I will advocate for community revitalization, preservation, and responsible development, as well as fiscal responsibility. San Dimas' history and community of committed people have helped build the strong foundation that will allow us to take these steps into our future. I'm looking forward to hearing your questions tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any other question cards? If you have a question card ready, just raise your hand and our ushers will collect them. Thank you. So let's let the fun begin. Candidates and timekeepers, are you ready? Now, the first question. During the question period, you will have 1 minute to answer. So when you see the stop sign, stop. So the first question goes to Bobby Mathias. What do you see as one important issue facing San Dimas, and what would be your recommendation for city council action?
Okay, so one of the main importance things that I would value as been in the city for 47 years is transparency and a good relationship with City Hall and the people. As in the past, history says it all. There's not been a very good relationship in between the people of San Dimas and City Hall. I know that permits have been next to impossible to get. I've known of people going into bankruptcy and or a lot of issues with basically people connecting to the City Hall. And so I would like, as mayor, actually want people to have a good relationship between the constituents. Get information from the constituents on certain changes and that kind of thing within the City Hall. So as growing up with my father in construction, that was always very difficult. So just a good personal relationship, I think that's everything. A fantastic relationship between each other.
Emmett Bader.
I don't think you can center on one problem or one issue. Actually, the city of San Dimas has several issues. One, we're losing the mayor of the mayor for the last 24 years, but we have issues of public safety that's always going to be number one. The housing requirements that are being proposed by the state are phenomenal, and they keep changing. So we have to keep looking at that. That's something that we're working on there. Obviously, everyone knows that we have the Gold Line coming. The Gold Line is actually going to split the city in half down Bonita. So these are things that we have to worry about. And then obviously, the big subject is always homelessness. Okay, the city is currently working with Laverne and Glendora in a regional plan, and these are the things that are happening. So we need to, and the bottom line to it is, we have an entirely new city staff. We're going to have a new council. So working together is going to be the primary.
Emma Maria Ramirez.
Like everybody here says, public safety is an issue. And in 2017, when I ran for city council last time, my issue was the CERT program. And the CERT program was barely starting, which is it's a community emergency response team. It was barely starting. In those 2 years of 2017 to current, we've moved it along so much well that it's now federally recognized, and we're now ready to take the next step to get it funded. So as city council, I want to get it funded. I want to get it going so our citizens are prepared and safe in case a fire comes by here, an earthquake comes. We are unprepared. We're in a trailer with XP computer and a ratty little chair. That is not going to save us in a big emergency. So I believe we need to target that and work as a community to get better equipment, grant money. It's not going to come out of our budget, and get us going. And as a councilman, I wish to do that.
David V. Estrada.
So I agree that there are many issues that are facing us that are tremendously important. The budget, the new proposed sales tax, the gold line, and redevelopment of the downtown area. I alluded to the changes that the state has imposed upon us, and I don't think many of our citizens understand what's happening with respect to accessory dwelling units that are now being allowed to be built in our city as of January the 1st. What that means basically is that you can turn your garage into an apartment and rent it out to another family. You can add additional square footage to your home and rent that out to another family. So technically you could have a triplex where you had a single family dwelling in the past. So that's the sort of issue that I want to work with the city on, to address on a broader, more regional basis, to convince the state that this was a terrible idea and they need to change it, reverse it. Thank you.
John Ebner.
So there are a number of issues and priorities, and some have been mentioned, like especially the future housing needs and mandates from the state. Homelessness is one of those issues that is a real tough nut to crack. Hopefully we'll talk a little bit more about that. And our structural deficit is also something we've got to address. What I'd like to talk about as a priority, though, in this segment is about downtown. And that's a positive thing that I think we should be working on. Downtown, if we focus on it and have the right approach to it, we can really make it that type of inviting, warm place that people want to visit, and with things for people to do. With the Gold Line station coming, we can tie that in to downtown and draw people into downtown. And we just really have to have a long-range vision for that, look at the whole area, a specific plan, and take it from there. And I think we'll do good. Thank you.
Eric Weber.
Well, I definitely think the structural budget deficit that we're going to be facing in the future is a huge problem for the city. Traditionally, San Dimas has been very fiscally sound, and that's a very good thing. It has left us in a very good place right now. So when we're talking about a structural budget deficit that isn't going to go away with time, what the City Council needs to do is find new streams of revenue that are going to be sustainable. These are not just short-term band-aids that are going to temporarily fix the issue. They're going to be long-term solutions to the budget problem. And when we talk about those type of issues, they are really what make our roads great, our schools great, and our city services great. So without a sustainable, fiscally sound budget, we may start seeing that those things are starting to atrophy, and that's why it's important to me. Thank you.
Nicole M. Gonzalez.
Community revitalization, preservation, and responsible development and financial responsibility are the three most important issues that come to my mind. Retaining the historic small-town character of San Dimas with its well-established neighborhoods is essential as the city responds to future development pressures from Sacramento and local developers. Maintaining and improving our aging housing stock, commercial centers, and business parks is vital to the future of the city. Historic preservation efforts such as the Walker House renovation and continued operation and potentially the Citrus Packing House adaptive reuse should be considered as high priority projects for the city and community focus. I'm not alone in saying I'd like to see more restaurants. I will be a steward of fiscal responsibility by bringing transparency to the budget, regardless if the sales tax measure is passed.
Thank you. Question 2. What is your position on Measure SD? We'll start with Emmett Bedar.
That will generate an approximately $4.7 million annually to the city's annual budget. All monies collected from this tax increase will stay within the city of San Dimas and will help us with the preservation of our facilities, public safety, and other neighborhood services. As elected public officials, it is our responsibility to be financially stable in the city. Although today we have financial stability unlike our neighbors do, forecasting 3 to 5 years out, sales taxes declining, as well as gas taxes and use of funds infrastructure projects in the city. Operating costs annually and additional reserves are needed to maintain our ability to provide the exceptional quality of our facilities and services.
Emma Maria Ramirez.
I, like Emmett, believed at first that we needed to support the tax bill, but as I looked into it further, it really bothered me that it had no end. Where is the money going to? What fund is it going to? General fund. What do you mean we're not paying our bills? I just need more specifics. So in saying that, I am against the bill, the SD bill, because there's no end clause. There's no clause, sunset clause. If it has an end, then I'm okay for it. Then I'll support it. We have time now to rewrite that. If we reject it, we have time now to rewrite it and get it back on to vote for you, the community, in a year. Give us a year and rewrite it with a clause of 2 or 3 years, and I think most people would go for it. But forever, for me, is a long time, especially because we get taxed and taxed and taxed, and I'm totally against taxes, more taxes.
David B. Estrada.
So I will be voting in favor of the sales tax increase. I was very proud of the City Council taking the courageous action, all 5 of them, to put it on the ballot and ask the voters to decide. I think that's a great idea. The issue of public safety is important because for the first time this year, our contract with the Sheriff's Department hit $7 million a year. And it's going to go up. It's going to continue to go up, and we need to pay that bill. That $4.7 million can stay here in San Dimas and help us do that. If we don't vote for it, then it is possible that down the line, the County of Los Angeles can impose that tax as well as a special district, and that money will leave us. That $4.7 million will not be here. It can be reversed by a vote of the people in the future if that's what's decided. Thank you.
John Ebner.
Well, I never thought I'd say I'd support a San Dimas tax, but here I am. But let me tell you the reasons for it. We talk about a structural deficit, and I'll just give 2 examples of what that is. The public employee retirement system, which we are part of and are required to pay money to, they went out of whack in the early 2000s, around 2010, a couple bad years. And there's what they call an unfunded liability, and we are now paying about $750,000, soon to be $1 million and going up. The other are roads. We are behind in our repairing and rebuilding of roads. Our pavement index is lower. And so talking to our city public works director today, we just need more money to keep the roads in the right shape. 75 cents on $100, it all stays in San Dimas. $4.7 million will help us solve the structural deficit.
Eric T. Weber.
Let me start by saying that I'm against arbitrary tax increases, but with that being said, I did my own research on Measure SD, and I will be voting yes on Election Day. Special districts have voiced their interest in taking that percentage themselves, and if and when they do, we'll be stuck paying the tax, and we're not going to see any benefit to it. I don't view the choice as, do we want a new tax, but rather, where do we want that tax to go? And do we want it to benefit us locally? And again, the city is facing that $5 million structural budget deficit, and that would go a long way to help the financial security of the city in the long term. And the funds for Measure SD would go to the general fund, but the funds are subject to public disclosure when they're spent and annual audits, which makes me feel a lot better about the accountability as far as where the money is going. Thank you.
Nicole M. Gonzalez.
Of course, I'm not excited about potentially having to pay a higher tax. However, I understand the reasons in which the city is placing it on the upcoming ballot, that there are concerns for future financial sustainability of various community programs that San Dimas has to offer its residents. My children and my family have benefited from several of those programs, and we'd like to see those continue, so I will also be voting yes for that tax increase. I believe that it's important that San Dimas as a city is ahead of the county in collecting that tax. Thank you.
Bobby Mathias.
I would say absolutely no bueno. We're not to go for this. If you look at the records from Ken Duran's letter, he indicates that basically we have a $17,596,470, and that's, you know, pretty consistent with all of our years, and we are doing better than we've ever had. It's really just not justifiable. If we don't put our foot down and say no on raising these taxes, it will never stop. We know California has unscrupulous laws, bad rules, bad regulations, and confusing laws and rules together. People are moving from California. Why? Because we can't afford to live here. People are going into bankruptcy. They can't afford their property taxes. I'm telling you, we don't want to go for that. We want to invest in small businesses like these properties that are developed here. We want to work money the old-fashioned way. We work hard, we work together. San Dimas needs to invest in people and not raise your taxes. Don't go for it.
Question 3. How will you work with developers, landowners, and community stakeholders to develop Bonita and Cataract north and south of Bonita Avenue? We'll start with Emma Maria Ramirez.
First of all, I really believe we need to do more town meetings and more meetings about this. In the last meeting that I attended for the fiscal monies, a lot of people were saying, well, how come they didn't put it out more? And the mayor was explaining that people don't care. Well, you've got to care. And I like the proposal that they did, the little hotel and the little development there. Works in Claremont, it works at other places. I think it could work here if we do some type of small business, not a huge hotel, small one with little businesses and little restaurants in there. That would be ideal, and it would revitalize when the train comes. It'll have some place for people to go eat and spend their money here in San Dimas.
David V. Estrada.
Okay. So I think we're talking about the Cataract development as well as you said north of Cataract as well?
The question is, how will you work with developers, landowners, and community stakeholders to develop Bonita and Cataract north and south of Bonita Avenue?
North and south. Okay, so I think we're well on our way to building on that lot. I like the idea of the Pioneer Square. I think development is going to be terrific for the city. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a place for us to gather. As far as working with the developers and the landowners, there's the area above Bonita, which would be under, I guess, a specific Plan 23. There's a moratorium on building or doing anything with that until the city can further study. Working closely with the developer and the landowner is going to be very important, but also listening to the citizens. The citizens have until Sunday, this Sunday, to submit their comments online. And I urge you to do that about that particular development, what you would like to see. I would like to see housing. Thank you.
All right. John Ebner.
So these two pieces of property we're talking about are on Cataract at Bonita. South, there's a vacant lot there. The first thing to do is that the city and the community, I think the community is getting a pretty good understanding, and developers need to know that those two pieces of property are integral to downtown and have to fit in, and that they're really part of the future of what downtown is going to look like. We should bring in developers who understand what a small downtown is like, who understand and can take a critical and educated look at an historic building like the old Packing House, see if it can be reused, which from what I hear it can, and make the development work for the residents in the area as well as all the citizens of San Dimas, so that that area is like a hub, a node of San Dimas, and that everybody can enjoy and appreciate.
I too think that those two pieces of property, or I guess several pieces of property, are integral to our downtown area and have a lot of untapped potential as far as extending our downtown area a little further and providing maybe a little more vitality down there. There is kind of a reality check when it comes to development though, and that's that we have to kind of temper our expectations when it comes to some things. Developers will only develop on a certain piece of property if it makes sense to them. Businesses won't necessarily come to our city unless it makes sense to them as well. And that particular area has some serious issues with traffic. So we do need to work with the developers to figure out what it is we can actually put in there and what is realistic to go there. And also work with the city, the citizens of the city, to see what it is that people would like to see there. But again, I think our expectations can kind of be a little lofty sometimes.
Nicole M. Gonzalez.
Over the last year, I've actually been a part of several community meetings with the developer at the Bonita and Cataract lot. It's quite exciting what we as a community have been able to discuss with the developer and what we'd like to see there. And we came up to what we felt was a good compromise for that specific lot, having a small boutique hotel to generate a higher tax revenue for the city, as well as bringing in some restaurants and some retail shops. You may have heard Vroman's bookstore has committed to going in there. I personally have met with the CEO of Vroman's, and that's a true thing. She has every intentions of coming to this town. They believe it's a vital spot. So it is a very exciting thing, the possibilities that can be there to extend our downtown. Thank you.
I think we need about 25 more antique shops. No, I'm just kidding you. Okay, so developing property is what my dad was really great at, and he'd done that. That's what he specialized in as an architect. And I've already started sketching up all these ideas. But the deal is that property, Cataract and Bonita, we need a date night. We need to be able to have people to go and enjoy. You know, we don't need big land use developers. You know, we have a brain. As mayor, I would say, hey, what do you guys want? What are your ideas? In terms of developing properties, we need something in San Dimas like a lot of the surrounding cities. I want to say Claremont, Glendora, Laverne, a place to go to. You can get your dog, you can walk around, you can spend $15 on a scoop of ice cream, something different than hair salons and antique shops, a place where we can go, bring our family, bring our kids, have some music, watch a waterfall go, you know, I mean, just some liveliness, okay? So, and I love the San Dimas quiet feel, and
Thank you.
Anyway, thank you.
Emmett Bader.
First off, I want to thank the downtown community that surrounds the Cataract area. They brought to light the need for some type of structure down there that's different than a large hotel. So we heard them, we listened to them, and we went out and we located a consultant who furthermore went out and located some developers, and I think the downtown residents there are seeing that, as Nicole said, they're seeing that is a positive thing. So the city council has heard very well what the community is looking for, and that trend will continue. Downtown meetings, talking to you know, community members, and that has to go both south and north, because we do have a housing issue that we're going to have to address.
Thank you. Question 4. Do you think it is premature for the city to consider rezoning SP 23 in order to put multi-family high-density housing up against a historic single-family story neighborhood? And we'll start with David V. Estrada.
Well, that's something that the City Council is dealing with right now. And as I mentioned, there's a 1-year moratorium on actually doing anything. That's being studied at this point. Do I support that? I support multifamily housing in that area, but I would also like to consider multi-use, which would include small businesses, restaurants, destinations for people to come and spend their money. So I would rather see that happen there in a way that's developed by the city itself, as opposed to it being imposed upon us from the outside. Thank you.
John Ebner.
So these 3 industrially zoned pieces of property, triangles, border a residential neighborhood. One of them borders a downtown business as well. They really are the 2, especially they're farther west, really are part of the neighborhood. And so whatever we do on there, we don't want to leave them industrial, because we just got a proposal for a distribution warehouse that actually would be within the zoning. So we don't want to have that go in there. But we do want some kind of, on the 2 west, some kind of housing, but it has to fit with the neighborhood. We have a lot of control over those because they're zoned industrial now. If we're going to zone them housing, we can do whatever we want and make a specific plan so that there is single-family housing around the perimeters of it facing the neighborhood. Maybe you get a couple stories, maybe 3 even, by the railroad tracks, but where it's not going to be impacting the rest of the neighborhood. As far as the packing house, I mentioned that before, it's historic, should be preserved, should be used as some kind of commercial and mixed-use enterprise.
Eric D. Weber.
I suppose the question being, is it premature to rezone it? It is premature, and that's why they haven't done that yet. So they're still exploring options with that moratorium. I think it is a responsible thing to do, to put that much moratorium in place so that we can explore how we can best develop that area. So while it is in a single-family residential area, you're talking that right now it's being used for a very industrial purpose. So if we're talking about a industrial versus residential, I would feel like a residential area or a mixed-use type of zoning would have far less impact on the surrounding neighborhood. And just like John was saying, I think the project, no matter how we do it, should not be high density, but probably more of a medium density mixed-use type of building. And it can be woven into the existing neighborhood so that it is not exactly a sore thumb that sticks out. Thank you.
Nicole M. Gonzalez.
Being that I can see 2 of these 3 lots from my home, I definitely have some opinions on it. And I wouldn't say that the city's being premature in taking a look at it, because the fact of the matter is 2 of those lots are currently for sale. For me, the bottom line is new infill development, not even just downtown, but citywide, needs to be sensitive to the existing neighborhoods that make San Dimas such a great place to live and work and recreate. The few remaining infill sites targeted for development should be thoughtfully designed to create high-quality spaces and places with community amenities and high-quality architecture. I agree with most all of my neighbors that the packing house should be renovated and preserved. I would like to see low-density housing on one lot there where LA Signal is, no more than 2-story homes, and then where the packing house is, to see some multi-use there would be great, but keeping in mind that it is an existing neighborhood. Thank you.
Bobby Mathias.
Okay, so this is a real soft spot for me, and we know the results of unscrupulous construction that's gone on with the unnatural growth in the traffic. Now, we have to understand that if we have commercial residents mixed together, that doesn't really work well. We know that. But the city has actually gone overboard, and we have a major problem. So what we need to do is be really proactive and really not want to negotiate residential and commercial. You understand, if residential is mixed with commercial, you have traffic at night, you have crime, you have a lot of elements that we want to stay away from. And since you cannot put the toothpaste back in the tube, we need to be on the one side of keeping consistent with the identities of our properties. People around that property, have been paying taxes. We deserve to have major respect for them and keep things consistent and not go for the money, the big developers, and all the money that's the city's benefiting. But we need to really be conscientious and respect the people that have been living in San Dimas for a long time. Thank you very much.
Emmett Badar.
You know, there's a lots to be said about wanting to keep residential and commercial separated. And I totally agree with it, and I certainly would understand the folks around those three properties. But the fact remains that we don't have too much options. We need to start looking, because the state is going to require us to do something. Special SB 50, although it's been killed this time, it's going to come back to us, and we are going to have to create probably 1,100 new housing. It's not a dream, it's not a pipe dream. We've got to start looking, so we need to look in other locations, either look at those locations or other locations within the city. But our RHNA number is going to be over 1,100 houses, and we've got to figure out where they're at. We can talk about all the other things, but the reality is the state has control of us, and they are going to force us to do that over an 8-year cycle.
Emma Maria Ramirez.
I agree with Emmett in some of those issues, because I sat in some of those meetings when they were talking about development of the property. But I also think that because it is zoned for industrial, maybe some medium density property multi-use might be ideal, because this way we could still keep that small town feeling, not the 10 stories or the 7 stories that they were originally trying to shove down our throats. But the most important thing I think we need to do as San Dimas citizens and community members, we need to start talking to people in Sacramento. Those are the people that are putting the stuff on our table and our plate that we don't want. We need to start pushing up before we start pushing ours, because we're being pushed into a corner. So we need your support, like we represent you, to be able to represent you correctly. So pick up the phone, call your legislators, call your congressmen, call your senators, call all these people and let them know what you feel and what they're pushing on your plate and making our small town into some small little project area.
Question 5. Do you have a plan to deal with the homeless issue in the city? John Ebner.
I will talk about homelessness. I have such a good plan, it's on a piece of paper, but I'll find it here. So homelessness is one of those things that I'm going to tell you right now, I do not have all the answers. What I can tell you is what San Dimas is doing. It's obviously a statewide and regional problem. But, you know, homelessness is growing in San Dimas. It's not as bad as in some communities, but we're trying to be proactive. And so what we've done is we've got a homelessness plan, and we are partnering with Glendora and Laverne to have a liaison here in the city that, and it's just ramping up now, that will go out and be able to contact homeless individuals. And then they'll, with the sheriff's department and our liaison, will be able to determine if they want to get into this this re-entry system that gives them temporary housing for a little while, for a long term, so that they can get the counseling, the job training, everything else that they need.
John. Eric D. Weber.
Homelessness is a issue that does seem to be getting worse. There is an obligation that I think we have to offer effective outreach to those that are experiencing homelessness. The most effective way that we could do this is through the whole person care model that's pushed down from the federal level, and even LA County has a whole person care model that's they've put in place on the county level. So what it is a single source of outreach to a person. So right now it's very fractured. You get one sort of care from one certain place, and then you have to go to another place to get another form of outreach, and another place and another place. And the reality is these people are either mentally ill or don't have the means to do that. So the whole person care model centralizes everything, and they can get all of the services that they need to get back on their feet from one person and through that one source of outreach. Thank you.
Nicole M. Gonzalez.
Well, I like Eric's idea. No, so it's definitely one of the things that I've heard a lot about from the community as I've been walking around and meeting people. I believe that this is something that our community needs to address. However, I believe homelessness in our community is something we cannot solve alone. I'd like to see San Dimas collaborate with other neighboring towns to work on solutions together so we can have a strong, united front as we continue to tackle this very real and sensitive issue.
Bobby Mathias.
Okay, so in regards to homelessness, if you go to bobbymathis.com, I have a whole thing written out on that. And so for years, actually, I'd lived in LA and had rented out my home in San Dimas and lived out there and worked at a church. And we had an amazing program basically dealing with the homelessness, dealing with mental illness, dealing with drug addiction, people falling on hard times. And as mayor, I would build a network. I would connect with every church. We have a lot of people that are ministry minded, that love people, that have special talents, and they would work with them personally, and identify what the problem is. I think a lot of it is a lack of God in this country we live in, and I don't think that that's in the forefront of our brain, but I tell you what, it's amazing what God can do, and I think a network of people influencing other people, helping them, addressing the problems. There's a lot of programs out there for them. We have to let them know where it is, and I think this is a process over time. A lot of people have just chosen that lifestyle, like people like to be on drugs. Same thing. Thank you.
Emmett.
The city of San Dimas is in partnership right now with the city of Laverne and Glendora. The county has put out and the state has put out a unfunded mandate. So there was a tax bill passed, millions and millions and millions of dollars, but these cities got a small chunk of change to try to figure this out. But the bottom line to it is we're going to start having a person here in San Dimas that's going to be able to deal directly with each homeless person. Just as Eric said, this program is a one-on-one basis. They will be able to outsource them, to different community places wherever they can get living spaces and stuff. This is not a situation that we're going to be able to solve overnight. It's too big. You're dealing with mentally ill people, a few folks who don't want a place to be structured, but majority of the folks that are homeless have some other problems, and we need to deal with it.
Emma Maria Ramirez.
First of all, we do have some programs here in San Dimas. Captain Burke and his team of deputies here have a program where they have a crew that goes out and helps people. Now, if they need something, or is something they need, like a program or something that they wish to go to, mind you, if a mentally ill person does not want help, there's nothing we could do for them. If a homeless man does not want a home, he wants to live on the street, there's nothing we could do for them. They have to want the help. But we have programs already implemented. I would like to have more money to help, to give some of these people some more dignity and respect. But I think with the programs that are coming down the pike, with money that we just got, I think we'll be able to develop a better program here for our small city that technically we only have 9 homeless, but we have more than that. But on the census count, it came to 9, so we'll see what numbers we get on this count.
David D. Estrada.
We're currently part of a program that addresses homelessness. It's called the Winter Shelter Program. It's a program that rotates from city to city. Right now, at this point in time, it's here in San Dimas at the Catholic Church. So for those cold winter nights, the homeless are sent there, and they spend from 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. the next day. That's not a very good way of handling homelessness because it rotates. It's going to expire in April. We need a comprehensive plan, a region-wide comprehensive plan that is not forthcoming as far as I can see. Now, we've had a Measure H, which was supposed to deliver millions of dollars to address the homeless issue. I don't know that that's actually been filtered down to this city. I'm glad to hear that we're going to have somebody here to address the homeless, but we need to be able to send them to a shelter, to housing, and to job training. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Question 6. What will you do to bring affordable housing to San Dimas? Eric D. Weber.
So the affordable housing issue is definitely something that's being pushed down on us from the state as well. SB 50 was going to address that before that bill got killed. So we definitely need to get ahead of the issue and try to implement some sort of affordable housing program ourselves before the state jams it down our throats. So when we're talking about the 1,000 new homes that we need to build as part of our RHNA numbers, I think a certain percentage of those do have to be considered low income when we build those. So as we're getting ahead of that number over the next 8 years, we will be building in some affordable housing into our infrastructure through our, hopefully medium density construction as we move forward. I think it should be addressed, and if we don't do it, then the state is going to make us. So I would rather have control of that locally. Thank you.
Nicole M. Gonzalez.
Growing up with a father who's been in development, I am of the understanding when new development comes into town that certain percentages of those new projects are supposed to be dedicated and deemed as affordable living. So knowing that we have some 1,000 new structures that we have to have, I would definitely do my part along with City Council to make sure that those percentages are met within the new developments around town. Thank you.
Bobby Mathias.
Okay, so, there's new construction happening within the city of San Dimas, and I do believe, there is a serious conflict with homeowners and people that want the fair market value for their properties. And it's a very touchy situation. I myself had gone through a situation like that that's actually inspired me to run for office, because I want to see the constituents being treated with respect. And in the event that there is this low income issue and that kind of thing, we need to respectfully, in a gentle tone, work it out with the constituents, because there's somebody that owns property out there and they want the most money for their investment. Now, there is some negotiating that needs to be done, and we know, I want to just say, we live in a very unscrupulous state on a lot of levels, but I love it. I'm not a critic of Los Angeles, but we need to handle that, and I think each and every case needs to be done, respectfully. Thank you.
Emmett Bader.
This has become a real problem ever since we lost redevelopment. And we have a housing element here that requires us to utilize money and recirculate it back. There's certain housing developments that were built back 8-10 years ago, and every one of them had to have a low affordability component of it. With this 11,000, actually 1,100 new homes, our RHNA numbers are being required. There's got to be over 400 low to moderate income homes there. So you need to understand, we have to work with the developer. The little money that we got, it's another one of those unfunded mandates, but every city in the state is going to be required to be doing this. So it's not an easy question to answer, because money is as you know, as Bobby says, people want all the best dollar for their money, but unfortunately, we are going to be mandated.
Emma Maria Ramirez.
In listening to everybody here, including Emmett, they talk about this low housing. We're talking HUD, we're talking low income. I asked the mayor straight out, I go, are we developing like a housing project, and like we've all heard of back east and down south of Los Angeles? And he said yes. So there is nothing that the city of San Dimas can do, but again, it's getting your legislative people, your people that represent us above, to get them involved and tell them that you don't want this happening in your city. And that's the most important thing. We need to have your voice out there. Along with us representing it, we need you to help us to help you.
David V. Estrada.
So San Dimas has been in the business of providing affordable housing for some time now. San Dimas knows how to do it. It is mandated by the state, a huge amount of housing that needs to be built, more than 1,000. But as an example of what San Dimas has done in the past, for instance, there's a mobile home park on Cienega. It's very large. San Dimas owns that mobile home park. San Dimas also has affordable housing right here in downtown. Housing that you probably didn't even know was there. It's affordable housing. San Dimas knows how to do it. I think we just need to decide that we're going to do it and how it's going to look. Thank you.
John Ebner.
I want to start out by saying that we need to prevent lower income families from being priced out of San Dimas. New construction doesn't necessarily equal affordable housing. A lot of the new construction is just market rate, and then that's so high that people with lower incomes, like a single worker family, a teacher, a healthcare worker, can't afford to have a house or an apartment. I have proposed, well, a couple of things. First of all, we recently turned down a proposal up on Allen Avenue that would have put a public storage facility in at the cost of losing 8 affordable houses. And we said we just can't lose affordable houses in the community. I have proposed, and if I'm reelected, I will continue, the staff's already looking at this, what's called an inclusionary rule, where if any development is over a certain number, let's say 20 units, a percentage, 15 or 20%, has to be affordable, and that's on the developer. We have to maintain affordable housing for people who want to live in San Dimas.
Question 7. Walnut Creek Project. Do you support the Villa Verde community's opposition to the Walnut Creek Project to convert Loma Vista Park into a trailhead? Nicole M. Gonzalez. Okay. Do you support the Villa Verde community's opposition to the Walnut Creek Project to convert Loma Vista Park into a trailhead?
I have to be very honest with you guys. I'm not familiar with that, so I can't answer that. But I can promise you, if I become city councilman, there will be issues that come up from time to time that I'm not familiar with, but I will always be happy to educate myself and get myself up to speed.
Bobby Mathias.
You know, as mayor, I would, if I was elected, Lord willing, that subject right there and that development would be not made by me. I would want a bridge, and my opening statement was bridging the gap between city government and the people. So it's your voice that I would say, hey, listen guys, let's sit down at the kitchen table, let's get the coffee out and let's talk. Let's do a spitball session and brainstorm and figure out what would be good for you guys that have properties there and have been paying taxes for so many years. And I think that's the mentality that, you know, I think from after being for 47 years, I'm a dad developer, developing properties, we can always be very creative and make something great. But I think really what's important is what you guys have to say and how you would feel about what's going there on those properties surrounding your homes. And quite frankly, you know, San Dimas, like I said, there's a lot of unnatural growth and major problems with traffic. We need to be conscientious about crime. Thank you very much.
Emma Badar.
5 years ago, this subject came up, and I make it very clear. I made it clear then. I will not support a trailhead entryway at Loma Vista Park. It leads down to from San Dimas Avenue to the Antonovich Trail, and you're going to put a trailhead right in the middle of a community, right through Loma Vista Park, and that's just nonsense. I think the community knows where I stand, and not while I'm here will I agree to that. So that's about all I can really say. I think I've talked with most of the people in that community numerous times. And it's just not what we are made up to be putting a trailhead, bringing buses in, allowing people to go down into that track through that park. Parks are very dear to us.
Emma Maria Ramirez.
This project is very dear to my heart. Originally, I got interested in politics and got involved in politics because of this project. They were going to develop a dense, just make this huge growth there, there's buildings, and they were going to develop it without asking the people who live there, who moved there to have those beautiful trails and animals running around. And they were just going to build without asking. They were going to put an amphitheater there. They were going to do all kinds of things without asking the community. Thanks to my wonderful neighbors who are here in the back and people who cared, we built together the Walnut Creek Project. We had 300 signatures put together and came to City Hall and said, no, absolutely not. This is not the place for you to come and put your trash. And it is now, it's not been developed. And it still maintains its beauty, and acquaintance that it did 30 years ago. And I will fight till the day I die for that project, because I really believe with a passion that the animals need their rights, as long as the people do too.
David V. Estrada.
So it's my understanding that years ago, promises were made to Villa Verde that that would not be developed. I think we should maintain those promises. This is not just a Villa Verde issue, it's a San Dimas issue, and I think we need to maintain the environment that we've created there. So, yeah, I support the opposition to that. Thank you.
John Ebner.
Well, open space is important. One of the reasons I first ran for city council was that very property we're talking about. There was a proposal for 114 houses that would tear down all what's now the Suchi buildings and build on that plateau. Fast forward a few years ago, we partnered with the county to actually buy the property, and now we've turned it into trails with landscape buffering around it. Originally, the staff proposed access, as was mentioned, through Loma Vista Park. The community spoke up, though, and we listened, and so there is no access to Loma Vista Park at all, and there won't be. You get to it from the Antonovich Trail. You'll have to come up and get a little bit of exercise going up the hill to get to the plateau trails. The trails are nice, though. It's really a nice thing. The other thing is I was out on the weekend over in Calle Bandera, where there's a crash gate that goes into the property, and they do need to open that every now and then for the landscaping they're doing now and to have fire access and that kind of thing. And we have an absolute commitment that we will never open that up to traffic or a road to that property.
Eric D. Weber.
So I am of the impression that there's been no further efforts to push the Walnut Creek project through. If it were to be reintroduced, though, I would absolutely not be in favor of any increased vehicular traffic through our residential streets or trailhead at Loma Vista Park. Mainly is because I don't think creating the type of issues that residents of Claremont experience that are related to the Claremont Loop would be a net positive for the city. Thank you.
All right, question 8. How do you plan to deal with the goal line and related issues? Bobby Mathias.
You know, the goal line, I think there's been a lot of criticism for the goal line. Quite frankly, I'm kind of excited about it. I might have some people hate me out there. There's not a lot we can do about it. But having a goal line and something that we can utilize and you know, I think that's just something that we should look forward to. And some of us don't like it. But I'll tell you what, when you got lemons, you could always make lemonade. And I'm excited about watching the city council and idealize on these on this construction here. I think it's pretty cool. You know, we could utilize that, and that's my story, and I'm going to stick with it.
Okay, Emmett Badar.
The goal line is coming, whether we want it or not. There are many people in this community who oppose it. There's many people in this community who want it. So the goal line is coming. We're going to end up having a massive bridge separating two ends of Bonita Avenue. Okay, but that's going to go up and it's going to come down and it's going to stop at a train station that's going to be just east of San Dimas Avenue, in between the housing development and the downtown business area. But it's going to come. And we need to be prepared, along with the Sheriff's Department, to be able to handle whatever comes along. But the beauty of it is, where the station is, when housing may end up on the west side of the town, people are going to have to walk from there through downtown, and we have a potential windfall of traffic walking through our downtown. Maybe our commercial businesses will have an opportunity to get fat again.
Emma Maria Ramirez.
I'm a true believer of the gold line. I think it'll vitalize our downtown area and it'll bring new opportunities for our seniors. You know, there's sometimes they don't have transportation. It mobilizes them a little bit more. They can move for lower income. The other thing that we might think about and that I am concerned about, with the help of City Council, and the wonderful volunteers of the Sheriff's Department, maybe just making sure that we work together to hold down the petty crimes that occur sometimes when we get the transient traffic. But other than that, I'm very excited about the goal line. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for this city to grow. and to develop, and like Emmett said, put some money back into San Dimas.
David V. Estrada.
So I do think the Gold Line is going to be a tremendous asset to our city once it's built several years from now. The difficulties that other cities have handled since the Gold Line was built have been included crime, that sort of thing. But I think we can anticipate that by, I think someone had suggested CCTVs around the Gold Line station. I think it's going to be a great thing, and I support it. Thank you.
I'm John Ebener. It's okay. The Gold Line is coming to San Dimas in 2025, and we have to plan for it and welcome it. So with the right planning, we can minimize problems. One problem that hasn't been mentioned is the parking. Now, the Gold Line or Metro was purposefully wanting to have a parking lot smaller than the number of cars that they would want to that are going to be in there, and making cars go elsewhere, like in the neighborhood. So we're pushing back on that, and the Gold Line's rethinking that. But with the right planning, we can capitalize it. It's going to be a great benefit, I think, to the city. People can travel to and from Pasadena, South Pasadena, LA, East LA, and it'll be good for students, commuters, families. I propose that we put a small plaza on San Dimas Avenue right next to the Gold Line station with public art and benches to draw people into downtown. And on balance, this is going to make downtown San Dimas even a more vibrant and exciting place to come.
I'll try to get closer. So I think the major Gold Line issues, like Emmett was talking about, the flyover and things like that, have already kind of been flushed out at this point. The smaller issues, I think the council is going to have to just remain vigilant as the project moves forward and try to anticipate smaller issues. Things like ingress and egress during peak commuting hours is going to be an issue. Parking is going to be an issue. Hop on, hop off type of crimes can be an issue. And obviously homelessness is another issue that is kind of associated with the Gold Line. So as we're talking about mitigating these problems, parking, hiring possibly a contracted daytime parking enforcement service to make sure that people are following our parking laws and ordinances. Hop on, hop off type of crime, CCTVs at our stations are going to be huge. If we implement those during the construction phase, it'll be a lot less expensive than if we were to try to install them after it's already built. And the environmental design of the station itself, with the parking lot being so far away from the platforms, is actually going to help with the hop-on, hop-off crime. Thank you.
Nicole M. Gonzalez.
The eastward extension of the Los Angeles County Metro Gold Line light rail from its current terminus in Azusa to San Dimas and eventually onward to the east has long been of interest to the city of San Dimas. Connection to the growing light rail network could transform the possibilities for future growth of the downtown economy, supporting more shops and restaurants, jobs, and housing near the new station. The Gold Line extension through the city must be met with strategic planning efforts around the station and downtown. Construction and infrastructure impacts must be closely monitored and coordinated with Metro and Metro contractors.
Question 9. What are your ideas to solve the problems of coyotes and other wildlife coming into the neighborhoods and eating our pets? Emmett Badar.
The coyote issue is the city council adopted a coyote management plan, and that management plan is one that we've studied it every which way but loose. We were asked to join the COG. We decided that we didn't want to do that, so our staff took on that task. We've done it. We've measured it out and came up with a plan that requires community involvement, of notifying us when they see a sighting or an attack. The bottom line to it is we average about 2 calls a week on coyotes, and then with that, we go past level 3 to level 5, and we've sent out biologists, wildlife biologists, 8 times, and none of those have compared or reached the rise to the occasion of trapping or euthanism.
Emma Maria Ramirez.
I am totally against the killing of the coyotes. I think it messes up the ecosystem of our wildlife. I could talk about one city in particular, Glendale. They ended up killing their coyotes, which meant that the deer grew fatter, and which meant the mountain lions came. They ended up having a mountain lion issue. So my concern is, if there's a coyote issue, I believe we need to be educated more by Fish and Game, wildlife. Maybe we could do it on the TV, on the government channel, and train people to not to feed raccoons. Don't feed the animals out there. They're not your pets. They're wildlife. And if you have small animals, bring them in. But I am totally against killing animals, the coyote, to mess up the ecosystem here in San Dimas.
David V. Estrada.
The city does have a plan to address coyotes. You can find it on the city website. I agree with it, and I'm glad to hear that we haven't had to euthanize any coyotes yet, but that is part of the plan if it becomes necessary. So I do support what the city is doing, and I don't have a new plan other than what we're doing already. Thank you.
John Ebner.
Well, coyotes are a problem, and I will admit I do not have a complete solution to the issue. And I've got a number of friends who have lost their pets to coyotes, and we've changed our behavior. I always have to go out even in the middle of the night if the dogs want to go outside, and take a flashlight out there and be with them. If it gets dark and one of our outside cats hasn't come home yet, she stays on the back porch. My wife gets all upset about that, so we're looking all over for her. But so we do have a coyote management plan. I don't think it's the complete solution. I mean, I saw a coyote just on San Dimas Avenue coming home the other day, just at dusk, and had to rush home to make sure the dogs weren't outside. We did try to respond to comments at a town hall and that we've heard at the microphone at City Hall. We do have a coyote management plan that is the San Dimas plan. It's not anybody else's, and we tried to do it as best we could to balance the coyotes and the pet problems.
Eric D. Weber.
So I think the coyote management plan that the city has put in place does a pretty good job of balancing interests of all involved parties to this. As we know, some citizens are upset that the coyotes have a negative impact on their pets. Others are upset that the coyotes are trapped and destroyed since they cannot legally be moved and relocated. So the city's coyote management plan targets only problem coyotes and puts them on like a continuum of least threatening to most threatening. I have heard negative feedback about the telephone reporting system. It's just cumbersome to use and just not conducive to people actually reporting it, and they never receive any feedback as to what happened. So I think maybe the implementation of a more technologically relevant reporting system, maybe an app, could provide that feedback to them that they're looking for when it comes to reporting of these coyotes. Thank you.
Nicole M. Gonzalez, please speak louder.
In November, at 6 o'clock roughly in the evening, I had 3 coyotes jump into my backyard from our front gate, and we sadly lost a dog, not because we left our dog outside negligent, but because our dog just apparently happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time in his own backyard. I realize that the city does have a plan in place. The level was a 3-4 at my home, and we did submit that into the database, but I feel like that goes into an abdominal black hole. I don't know what the answers are, but certainly we need to look and see what more we can do. This year, I see a big decrease in my neighbors walking their dogs in a neighborhood that I've lived in for 12 years, and that's a really sad thing. San Dimas has always prided itself on having walkable communities.
Bobby Mathias.
In regards to the coyotes, I have an acre lot in San Dimas, and I have several cameras around my properties, and like stormtroopers, they'll go in, and I've got chickens and cats, and I've watched after the fact, you know, my chickens being devoured. So, you know, it's really sad because of the construction on Allen and San Dimas Avenue. Once that was done, it messed up the ecosystem, and we had a lot of all sorts of little varmints, and coyotes have been one of them. I think because of the laws, we're kind of in a pickle between first and second. But we do need to take some legal action and try to be able to, my idea was to simply trap them, and I know that might be against the law, but we need to take legal action and try to trap them and put them in cages and relocate them. Because as of right now, a whistle and an 800 number to keep track of where the coyote is, it's useless. It's not happening. Nobody blows the whistles. You get free from the city. And we need to actually step it up a notch and talk to the city lawyer in regards to some people that are dedicated, you know, doing something really about trapping these coyotes.
Question 10. What is your knowledge in regards to the relationship between the City of San Dimas and the San Dimas Sheriff Department?
I couldn't hear it.
How important is violent crime and property crime in our city to you?
What's the relationship?
And we'll begin with Emma Maria Ramirez. Okay. Okay. All right. Can you hear me now? Okay. What is your knowledge in regards to the relationship between the City of San Dimas and the San Dimas Sheriff's Department? How important is violent crime and property crime in our city to you?
Crime is very important to me. In 2017, I was appointed to the public safety. I became a public safety commissioner, and every year since then, I've heard Captain Berg give us a breakdown of what's happening, and some to fault, again, going back to our legislators with all these bills that passed, the AB 109, the releasing people from jail early, not going to jail if you commit a misdemeanor. It's not the sheriff's department problem. It's our legislator, the people that we've elected up in Sacramento is the problem. The sheriff's department do a wonderful job with what they have. Their hands are tied. They can't keep them in jail because they have to be kicked out of jail. There's people that are getting out of jail with no bail now. They just walk out because our great governor and other people have done. So sheriffs do a great job, and I bow my head to them because they do a wonderful job. But again, it's the legislative, the people above that we've elected that are failing us and failing you, the citizens here of San Dimas and us. So they do a great job.
David D. Estrada.
So our relationship with the Sheriff's Department goes back to 1927, long before we became a city. That became a formalized relationship in 1960 when we became a city. The Sheriff's Department is one of our greatest assets. It would cost a prohibitive amount of money to build our own police department, and for what we pay the sheriffs today, it's a bargain. It is truly a bargain. Now, as far as crime, I think the Sheriff's Department is doing a fine job. I really appreciate their response time and everything they do for our city. The only thing I would add is that I would support in encouraging or forcing the Board of Supervisors to hire those 1,500 sheriff deputies that are short. That's the vacancy right now in the Sheriff's Department in LA County. And I think we need to be rattling some cages. Thank you.
John Ebner.
Well, public safety, as I said before, is a bedrock priority. You could say it's number one. You can't really have quality of life without it, or focus on those nice things that I like talking about without it. We spend about a third of our general fund on public safety, over $7 million. And I think we have a pretty good relationship with the Sheriff's Department. I know people in the audience who have had their cars broken into, and it is a high priority. And you know, violent crime is just unacceptable. So we partner with the sheriffs, or they go out and contact the homeless for us and try to do an intake, and they will be doing that more with the homeless liaison we're going to be getting. CERT training, that is another good thing that is doing the emergency training. Last thing I'm going to say that graffiti is one of those property crimes that really makes a neighborhood look bad and on edge, as a matter of fact. I told the city manager when we were having spate of that last year that the 48 hours was not good enough. We had to have same day, and that's what we're doing now. We just re-upped that contract.
Eric D. Weber.
So being on the Public Safety Commission, I've also sat in on meetings with the Sheriff's Department and briefed on current crime statistics for the city. So across the state, we're on par with every other city, where property crime is way up and violent crime is actually down, which is a good thing. So is violent crime important to me? Yes. Keeping that number low is important to me, but keeping all crime low is also important. For some reason, our society and our legislature has enacted a series of bad decisions, in my opinion, that have proven to criminals that crime does pay. And eventually, I think we're going to come to our senses, and hopefully the pendulum will swing the other direction, and we'll return back to a state where crime does not pay. Thank you.
Nicole M. Gonzalez.
I think our Sheriff's Department does a great job here in town. Every time I've ever had to call them personally, there's been a pretty quick response time. I think that the neighborhoods as well are doing a good job to partner with the Sheriff's Department in paying close attention to their Ring cameras and their doorbells, and the community does a good job of working together as well on Nextdoor to keep eyes and ears. So yeah, great job, San Dimas Sheriff's Station.
Bobby Mathias.
Well, you know, I've worked in Los Angeles, and I think that we're spoiled rotten because we've got a fantastic sheriff's department. We know that there is a contract between the city and the sheriff's department. And I basically also, too, don't want to just say this again, but we do have an unscrupulous government in Los Angeles allowing crimes to be minimized and just basically forgotten about. And so I must say that very well said with everybody here. And as it stands, I think if I don't become the mayor, we'll have all police officers on the city council. You might want to mix it up a little bit, get a musician involved. Just saying. The police, they're human too, trust me. No, but yeah, no, we do have a fantastic police department. They do a great job, and I do call them when I see certain things, and you know, and that's something we need to really respect. And also too, one thing I want to always say is, you know what? Let's try to be, you know, biblical and godly with people, because we have a lot of problems and we need to share the Lord.
Emmett Badar.
Sorry about the sermon. Sorry.
We have a great partnership with the sheriffs. We have to actually have the privilege of picking our own captain. The sheriff, you know, puts out a list. We get to interview them, and we get to pick the captain. So the partnership starts right from the very beginning with the choice of a captain. Right now, violent crime is down this year as opposed to last year. Property crimes have increased. That's because certain things happen. People don't know when they belong, what belongs to them. So we're leaving them in the cars, and they're getting broken into. The city pays a community action team to help with this, and those people are redesignated and are doing that now. Okay, and as everybody said, we have a problem with AB 109, Prop 57, Prop 47. We need to convince our legislature to recall those so that they can have police work can get back to throwing people in jail versus being social workers.
Question 11. If you support downtown revitalization, how would that happen when our old storefronts are occupied? Do you plan on removal of current occupants? David V. Estrada.
No. I guess I don't quite understand the question.
I guess, what would you do about revitalization?
The revitalization. Well, you know, I would definitely work with the current occupants and and try not to disrupt their businesses. We don't want to lose businesses. I think revitalization is certainly important, but it doesn't mean that we have to displace people. I don't know that there's much more we can say about that. Thank you.
Okay, John Ebner.
No. So I'll take this opportunity to talk about downtown revitalization, one of my favorite subjects. So I've talked about making it vibrant and warm. We all know that. We want to do that. Let me tell you about a few specific proposals. I propose that we extend downtown westward all the way to Euclid, make it a downtown feel, small downtown. That and at Euclid, right this side over Bonita, we have a great looking sign or arch that says Downtown San Dimas. I propose that we make sure that all the development in those lots, we tell people what they can do as far as the downtown type of look, and that everything from fountains to more restaurants and shops to the great Romans bookstore to a little bit of housing, all of that will contribute to make downtown the great and vibrant place that we want it to be. That's all I have to say for right now.
Eric D. Weber.
So I think right now it's the perfect environment for us to create a new vibrancy downtown, for sure. That does not mean kicking out current business owners. What that means is, like John was saying, we have an opportunity to extend what our downtown sphere of influence is westward. So with a Pioneer Square development, it would absolutely tie into our current downtown. With the Gold Line coming in and the station being nearby, hopefully it would increase foot traffic to the businesses that are already there in our existing downtown and be a net positive for them as well. But it would also be a win for residents because we're going to get a social space, hopefully dining and retail that we actually are asking for. And hopefully, in addition to that, it will provide some revitalization to Pioneer Park as well, because right now it's troubled, and hopefully with more foot traffic and more people being there, it'll have more oversight and the problems will find somewhere else. Thank you.
Nicole M. Gonzalez.
No, we wouldn't want to kick out the current existing businesses. There's a place for everybody, and that's just that. With the Pioneer Square hopefully coming and extending the downtown farther, that will bring new retail and restaurants, and I think that all of the existing businesses will benefit from that because there will be hopefully some nice places to eat within walking distance to the antique shops and the hair salons. So really it would be a win-win for everybody. Downtown would actually become a place where people would want to spend time their afternoon and maybe not just running into the salon for a hair dye or running into the antique shop for some, I don't know, Pyrex bowls they may be hunting down. So really it would benefit extending the downtown.
Bobby Matthias.
I think we have an opportunity to actually do something now about it. The property that's right there on Bonita, across the street from Casa del Rey, and expanding the development of the properties. I think just being wise about the new construction that's basically happening, and also too we have to just understand that San Dimas is fantastic. In a lot of ways. I know that there's way too many antique shops and I think hair salons, although God bless them, they're great, but we need to respect their businesses and how they are bringing in their money as well, and understand San Dimas is what it is. But we need to go forward, expand those, respect the people that's been there, because they have put their time in development and their smiles and their cheerful attitudes. They've contributed a lot, so we want to respect that as well. And coming from a dad that's specialized in development and always watching him be so successful at what he is, we just need to expand.
Emma Badar.
Revitalization has a natural process. If you look back at San Dimas over the last 50 years, you can see that certain businesses are here, certain businesses have gone, certain people have taken over. I agree with John and the others that downtown area is going to get larger. It's going to be on the west side of the bridge. And that's going to be a part, but it's still a part of downtown San Dimas. I don't believe that anybody in this room wants to just kick out the people who've been there for all these years. We are growing, and it's going to continue to grow. And in 30 years from now, we won't recognize what we have. I don't know that I'll be here, but the reality is our children will understand that we went one step at a time to grow the community, and that's what's going to happen with the new Bonita Cataract area, both north and south. There's a lot of room to grow, and hopefully that we listen.
Emma Maria Ramirez.
I love our downtown area. I think we could do something now to improve it. We could now put benches out there. We could put lights out there at night to attract people to come out and walk. Even though they're antique shops and we have hair salons. Look at all the hair salons and look at all the antique shops. But make it revitalize it by one step at a time. The other idea I have is adopt a tree in downtown San Dimas. So that little tree that you adopt, you could put flowers there, you could decorate your tree to bring your personality. A family could adopt a tree, or a community could adopt a tree, a housing tract could adopt a tree, and that represents you, the community. So I think we could do a lot now, what we have, and improve what we have. Maybe put some more benches out there, make it fun to walk in the afternoon, so we can see our neighbors and talk to each other, be a community as a whole. So I like the idea, and I know we'll improve as time goes on.
Okay. Question 12. How do you think your background of experience prepares you for this position? John Ebner.
How do I think my background and experience prepared me for this? Well, I've been on the city council for quite a while, so I've got the experience. My job is actually a software analyst, so I've got some, analytical thing going, and but I feel that I can look at things and, talking about the downtown and whether it's evolutionary or needs a little push, I fall on the side of envisioning what we want to have happen and then trying to make that happen. Always being flexible to see what we can work with. But whether it's the Walnut Creek open space, the Northern Foothills, which you may not remember, but that used to be zoned kind of like Via Verde. And I worked on trying to get another zoning up there, because looking at it and just looking at the possibilities, what other communities have done, I think that's how we can work and all work together with the community for the betterment of the city.
Eric D. Weber.
So obviously my background is in public safety. I'm a police detective. I work residential burglary right now. So the property crime increase is very near and dear to me. So I bring a unique perspective as far as that goes. Previously, I was a police officer in the city of Glendora when the Gold Line station came to the border of Azusa and Glendora. So I felt a lot of the impacts that Gold Line station had to that area. So I feel like that gives me a little bit of a perspective and an ability to anticipate some of the problems that we might face when the station opens up here. I think most importantly, the thing that I can bring to the council that's most important is just a fresh new set of eyes, maybe some new ideas that the city's, I think, in need of right now. So thank you.
Nicole M. Gonzalez.
I'm a professional with worldwide vision and experience. I've worked hard to climb my way up the ladder, proving my commitment, dedication, and service to others. I have a proven track record of being able to work in team environments to discuss and tackle issues as a team. I can appreciate other opinions that may differ from my own, and am able to weigh the pros and cons of all sides to be able to come to the best answer at the end of the day. I am able to work within budgets and consider myself to be a great listener. I've advocated with my neighborhood through the years on various different community issues, and I've attended various community meetings to help ensure the voices of the downtown neighborhood were heard. I am passionate about our town, and I care greatly about its future.
Bobby Mathias.
First of all, as mayor, what I would do is prioritize the people And I would always want, you know, the people to have the final say and their ideas respected. That's really important. Now, basically, my background is construction, father an architect, land developer, and I do construction now. And I also am a music teacher, and I do that. I've been doing that at Guitar Center for over 10 years and 25 years plus, and also property management. And so basically working with people and taking that leadership role. And what's really imperative too is that, you know, respecting the community and being all ears, working together, idealizing, resolving problems, because we all have our story here in San Dimas. I know I have. And last weeks or so, you know, I have my 3 minutes. It's like talking up an elevator on our Tuesday night meetings. But I've made my statement of closure. I have gone through some rough times. I love Morris. I want nothing more than a good relationship with the city, although it's been a little rocky road. But I really, truly care about
Emmett.
listening and your priorities,
Bader.
people priority. Oh, sorry. Broke the law. Sorry.
Prior to becoming involved with the city, I spent 30-plus years with the Los Angeles Police Department in a leadership role. Okay, then I got asked to serve on a law enforcement committee that helped preserve the sheriff's station here in San Dimas. From there, I went on to the Planning Commission, spent 13 years on the Planning Commission, and left there as the chair of the Planning Commission. I've now served three terms as a sitting city councilman. And through this period of time, I've had great mentors, you know, current Mayor Kurt Morris, Jeff Templeman, people who taught me how to listen and how to make informed decisions. And I think that's going to serve me the best by listening to other people. So that's what I think is going to have to happen in the city is we have to continue to listen to the community.
Emma Maria Ramirez.
I'm also retired Los Angeles Police Department. I was a sergeant, watch commander, and I was also a detective supervisor that supervised over 150 men at one point dealing with supervision and investigations. Part of that training was being a leader of people and working with people. Some of the schools I've attended has given me the wisdom. The West Point School of Leadership, I've gone to Sherman Block, which is a sheriff's school, and it's taught me leadership. And also, I've been a public safety commissioner since 2017. I'm now the chair of CERT, which is the Community Emergency Response Team, and I also have worked very actively in the community for the Wilderness, Villa Verde, Walnut Creek project. So I believe I have the pulse of the city, and I believe by working with the community, I think my ears are open and I have new perspective and vision what I bring to this city.
Candidates, let's begin the closing statements. The order will be reversed from the opening statements. You will have 1 minute. We will begin with Nicole M. Gonzalez.
I'd like to thank the League of Women's Voters for organizing tonight's forum, as well as the community for coming out and taking time to get involved and showing your commitment and pride for San Dimas. If elected, I will advocate for community revitalization by promoting independently owned shops and drawing attention to areas of town that have been left behind. I will work for preservation and responsible development by fighting to save and reuse the historic Citrus Packing House. And I will be a steward of fiscal responsibility by bringing transparency to the budget regardless if the sales tax measure is passed. I am your neighborhood advocate who wants to represent the diverse communities of San Dimas as your city councilwoman. Thank you.
Okay, Eric Weber.
I didn't get to answer the last question.
Oh, sorry. Okay, my fault. Sorry.
All
Mr.
right.
Estrada.
So my background is actually in community organizing. That was one of my main functions in organized labor, bringing communities together with common interests and helping them resolve those issues. After I retired, after 35 years in organized labor, I retired. Someone I loved came down with a mental illness. which required me to look into how to handle that and help them to recovery. I found my way to an organization called NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, here in the Pomona Valley. After several months of working with them, I became their president. They elected me their president because of my background in organized labor, organizing communities, but also because of the work I did with elected leaders throughout the region and throughout the state. I think that background helps me and gives me a perspective on what we may need to do here in this city to make it a healthy city, but also a united city. Thank you.
Closing statement, Eric Weber.
So despite all of these issues and negative things that we just heard, the reality is that the city is in good shape and it's a nice place to be. Many of us choose to live here because of the small town feel, Western heritage, gorgeous open areas, large parks, well-maintained streets, relatively low crime rate, excellent schools, and above all, wonderful people. To top that off, our city's in better financial shape than more than 90% of cities across California. That was no accident, and we owe the good place that we're in to fiscally conservative policies implemented by councils of the past. So in the coming years, our newly elected council will need to work toward a vision for the future while simultaneously protecting each of the things that we as the community value. This is the only way to ensure San Dimas is able to thrive well into the future. I humbly ask for your vote so that I may continue to serve you as your newest council member. Thank you.
John Ebner.
It is an honor to serve and work on the San Dimas City Council for you. If reelected, I will continue to offer independence, fresh ideas, respectful debate, and dedication to our quality of life and small town feel. Sometimes you have to fight for something, and sometimes you have to fight against it. Both are okay as long as you believe it's for the long-term well-being of the people you serve. On the City Council, whichever it is, my track record, and you can be assured that in the future, whether it's for or against that I feel that I have to fight, you can be sure I'll put my best into it. We've got a website, johnebner.com. It's more articulate than I am up here on the stage, I think. I've got a lot of stuff in there, a couple Spanish language pages as well. So take a look at that, johnebner.com. Thank you all for coming out tonight, and let's make San Dimas the best it can be.
David D. Estrada.
So I'd like to reemphasize that one of my top priorities is maintaining a high level of public safety, which means making sure that our contract with the Sheriff's Department continues to provide us with the world-class police force that we've come to be used to, but also working with our firefighters and paramedics to make sure that the county is providing them with the state-of-the-art equipment and protection they need and deserve. There's one measure on the ballot that we didn't discuss tonight, which is Measure FD for fire department. I'd like for you to consider supporting Measure FD, which addresses the issue of our 911 system, which is over 30 years old, needs to be replaced, and also upgrading our paramedic service. So if you will, consider voting for David Estrada, but also take a good look at Measure FD as well. Thank you.
Emma Maria Ramirez.
I continue to serve this community. I didn't just wake up today and say, you know, I'm going to run for city council. I'm out here every day working with you, the community members. I'm out here at different meetings. I'm at different events. I'm always out here with the community. During the rainy storm the other day when we had the rain, I was out there in the rain running the CERT booth. It was freezing cold and we were next to the snow machine and we were cold. But we were out there trying to get the word out that we're here to help you as a citizen. So now I'm here asking you, I want to help you more, but I need your help to help the community. I bring new vision, I bring new perspective. It was brought to my attention that you're not the first woman. Yes, I am the first woman. I'm the first minority woman that ever ran for city council. So that is a different perspective to something. I'm looking at it as a mother, I'm looking at it as a grandma, and I'm looking at it as an aggressive warrior that I am. So I ask for your vote. Vote for me.
Emmett Badar.
A special thanks to the League of Women Voters for hosting and moderating tonight's forum. Thanks to all of you for coming out and participating in our democracy. My name is Emmett Badar, and I'm running to be your next mayor. Although I've served this town for over 30 years, my work here is not done. I am dedicated to my 3-point plan and believe that together we can make the great city of San Dimas an even better place to live, raise our families, work, and own our own business. I respectfully ask for your vote on March the 3rd. As always, please send me an email or call me at any time. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Bobby Mathias.
I just want to say that I want my life to be an open book, and I appreciate the current administration that have gotten us where we're here. We know critics are a dime a dozen, but also too, I want you to know that I think the opportunity for the city to make a major change and to have someone that's been in the city for many, many years, that have seen a lot, and I could stand up and say that, well, you know, everybody here may know 50% or 40% of what I've known and what I've gone through for many, many years, but you would have my dedication to bring balance, and I wouldn't be dedicated to serving you people on a personal level. And so you have my total respect, and I greatly appreciate being here and the opportunity to express myself, where I have an opportunity to show that I would be for your best interest, the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you to all our volunteers. Thank you to our card sorters, and Ruth Curry and Barbara Nickel, our timers, Ann Bellerman and Judith Tannenbaum, and to our ushers, Jan Bush, Jerry Classic, and Don Theo. We also thank the people, Deborah Black, our city clerk, Brad from facilities, and Connie from Park and Recreations, and the Los Angeles sheriffs, LA County sheriffs. Good luck to all our candidates on your March 3rd election. Thank you for participating in the forum. We appreciate your preparation and your willingness to share your decisions about San Dimas issues with us tonight. Your support made the forum successful. Thank you. Thank you to our audience for your cooperation, for your attention and questions. Two more things. The deadline to vote, to register to vote, is February 18th. You can register, if you haven't, by going to registertovote.ca.gov. And if you're registered, congratulations. Go out and vote on March 3rd for your candidates. Thank you and good night.